My name is Chase Effler. I'm the engineering manager at a small IT company called Appalachian Network Services. We're based out of Fletcher, North Carolina. We have about 25 employees. We've been using TopLeft for around a year and a half now. We are part MSP, part designer and integrator for new construction. So we do a mix of projects and managed services. Our MSP, that side of the business was having some consistency issues, some prioritization problems. And so we were looking for a tool that would help us to get our help desk people on task and make sure that they always had the company's priorities as their own. We were having some issues training, and it was no fault of our employees, but more a problem of us clearly defining priority and things like that. We hadn't, I think, been forced properly to say exactly what we wanted from them. And so we did some soul searching and decided we wanted the system to work for our employees. And so we moved away from using sort of the pile method with ConnectWise, where everything was on a service board and people, were assigned to tickets as they came in and worked on them as they saw fit. And we looked for a tool that could self-prioritize for us. There's always, issues when you're integrating something into your primary platform. How consistent is this going to be? How much buy-in are we going to have from our employees and that sort of thing? So myself and the other managers had quite a few meetings specifically about TopLeft and how it would impact the company. It was already at a state where we weren't keeping up properly with our SLAs, and we wanted to affect change, but we also didn't want it to be any worse, if that makes sense. And so this was prior to doing any of the demos or anything like that. There were many conversations about, is this platform completely web-based? We didn't use ConnectWise on the web. We used the local client, and this was prior to your integration with a local client. So you only had the web-based platform, and that was a real hitch for us because it meant that our employees would have to log into two platforms or start using ConnectWise on the web, and it was going to change their entire workflow as opposed to just adding on top of it. So those were a few things. But as I said, those have been addressed already. So now we have the integration with the ConnectWise client, the managed client, which is phenomenal and works really smooth. I've got my certified Scrum leadership certificate, as well as I'm a certified Scrum master. And so I just sort of like agile methodology in general, especially since we're more projects based as well as MSP based. We tend to use agile methodology, especially Scrum, in our projects. And so Kanban sort of felt like a very natural move for our company for the rest of it. I think Scrum doesn't really lend itself to consistently popcorning problems. I think it lends itself to breaking a very long project up into short intervals and completing those intervals. Kanban does a much better job of sort of like tracking small objectives all the way through to finish as they just flow in. I really like the workflow. Like I said in the beginning, the prioritization was the biggest thing for me. It was the ability for me to not have to train every new person on how to prioritize tickets depending on certain aspects of the ticket or of that company or of the board it's on, that sort of thing. We basically just build the system, we build the guardrails, and then we say, do the next thing in the top left of your screen, the next thing on your page, just take that ticket and do it. A while, to be honest. We didn't fully onboard properly, and I think you spoke a little bit to me the last time we met about your initial onboarding was not up to par as far as you were happy with. And so it took us probably 6 months to really start using the product all the way through. But by the end of the 6 months, it was our primary platform for ticket management. Every once in a while we needed to go into ConnectWise, but that was only to do like very minute stuff. So maybe 6 months. So our KPIs are very much revolving around our commitments to the customer. And so we commit to 80% SLA adhesion. So we're going to make sure that 80% of the time we are within our SLA hours allotted. We were certainly not a year ago. We're more around the 60% range, and that was really unacceptable. This was right as we adopted TopLeft and right as, I was really getting my hands on the service department. I'm the engineering manager, so I wasn't doing the service department before this project, but we decided to go that direction. And so when we integrated TopLeft, like I said, in those 6 months, it was really a growth period, a learning period. Obviously, we had to train everyone on the new system. TopLeft is really a replacement for the ConnectWise interface, for us at least. And so the training took a while to catch on. But yeah, we went from 60% SLA to 80% SLA. We are now in the 90s minimum. I mean, we have nothing below 90% as far as like SLA, achievement. We also have seen some sort of ancillary benefits as well, like time tracking. And so the ability for our employees to not need to open multiple tickets with multiple stopwatches has very much helped them to track their time more effectively. Meaning, I was seeing something like 30% utilization when I ran quarterly reports from my employees. And that's only because, you get so busy and you can't track all the time you need to. We're up in the like 70s now, 75% utilization of employees, which is really great. It's really good. We're very happy with that. I mean, we're trying to hit that 80% number. That's like the gold standard, but we're certainly almost there. And I attribute a lot of that to TopLeft. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. I didn't expect it. This wasn't the thing we were going after with TopLeft, but TopLeft has the feature where every card sort of has this, it has a tiny little module in the very top of every card that is a stopwatch. And basically, once you start working on a problem, you click the play button on that stopwatch, and it's an independent time tracker for that problem. And so what we have is a bunch of really smart help desk people that like to work on 3 or 4 things at the same time. And if they didn't have those stopwatches, they would never know how long they spent on any one problem going forward. So what it enabled them to do is just press play on 3 stopwatches and then pause each individual stopwatch as they stopped working on certain things. And then this does exist in ConnectWise. However, you very much have to go into the individual ticket in order to get to the stopwatch. There's nothing as convenient or quick in that way. And I think that removing the barriers that ConnectWise has enabled my staff to more easily track every second of their day, which was good. We did have some struggle beforehand with ticket notes, and I think TopLeft does a very good job of providing an easy interface to do ticket notes. We got much better about scheduling specifically. So in TopLeft, you're able to dispatch tickets to employees, but when you're going through the dispatching process, it actually shows you availability on the employee's calendar, whereas in ConnectWise, it doesn't. You can just assign a time. If you want to open up the dispatch portal, you can. But again, it's another interface you have to go into. It slows down workflow. And we have employees doing this, 10, 12 times an hour. And it gets a little cumbersome if you have to click into that many menus. And so TopLeft has it all sort of baked into one interface. And so the employees have gotten better about, not double booking, which was a big deal a while ago. I certainly don't have to reprimand my employees as much, which is always a nice thing. It causes more issues. I would rather be uplifting than have to come down on people. And so TopLeft has I think, really removed a lot of the barrier between me and my employees from a management perspective. I no longer have to discuss, hey, you should have been working on this ticket, but instead you're working on this one. I no longer have to have those conversations. They know what they need to be working on, and they're working on it effectively. The only conversation I ever have to have now is, you need to do this a little bit faster. And that's a good one to have, because I can reward people for being fast, and I can, collaborate with people who are being a little slower, but I never have to, retrain at this point, which is great. I think I would say it's worth the difficulty of onboarding or switching to a new system. Like I said, we had a lot of manager meetings where it was like, is it worth, redoing the entire way we do help desk tickets? We're really worried about the amount of effort we, both as a department and as management, would need to put in to be able to make this thing work. But I think demonstrably, at least for my company, it has been absolutely beneficial. It was absolutely worth the amount of effort and time we had to put in to, integrate the system in with ours, and we've seen dividends from it.